The galaxy was vast, cold, and ancient. Thousands of star systems spun silently in the void, each ruled by powerful alien empires that had risen and fallen over millennia. Civilizations had burned bright and then vanished, leaving only whispers in the void. And in this vast stage, one planet was quietly ignored: Earth. To the Xyrian Empire, the dominant force in this sector, humans were a joke. Small, fragile, and slow to progress, they were considered nothing more than primitive creatures, a curiosity like insects in a jar. Across the galaxy, alien academies laughed at the idea that humans could ever be a threat. Yet, history has a cruel sense of irony. It began on a cold, gray morning on Earth, in a city now abandoned, its streets cracked and empty. The archives of humanity, the knowledge of billions of lives, were nearly erased by a sudden coordinated strike from the Kareth Dominion, a warlike species that had grown jealous of Earth's potential. Entire cities were wiped off the map. Satellites fell like shooting stars, and the sky burned with the light of destruction. And then, silence. No empire mourned humanity. To the galaxy, Earth was gone. It was a lesson in the fragility of life, a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones. Never challenge the masters of the stars. But somewhere in the ruins, the last humans survived. Not in numbers, not in fleets, but in minds. Scientists, strategists, engineers, soldiers, all scattered across hidden bunkers, underground complexes, and abandoned space stations. They whispered a single promise: we will return. Decades passed. Slowly, deliberately, humanity rebuilt in shadows. On moon bases carved into the silent rock, on distant colonies disguised among asteroids, and in starships hidden in nebulae, humans worked. Every invention, every adaptation, every discovery was forged with one purpose: to prepare for the day the galaxy remembered them. Meanwhile, the galaxy moved on. The Kareth Dominion celebrated its victory. The Xyrian Empire laughed at Earth's disappearance. "Primitive life does not deserve our attention," said High Chancellor Ural, his voice a metallic echo across the council chamber. They were dust, and dust remains nothing. But even as they spoke, the first signs of humanity's return flickered in the outer rim. It was the observation drones near the Theta Nebula that first noticed something strange. Human ships, small and sleek, moving faster than any known propulsion system, almost phasing in and out of existence. They carried weapons of precise lethality and shields that defied conventional energy theory. The Kareth, confident in their supremacy, sent fleets to investigate, and vanished. In a war room orbiting a gas giant, Kareth General Varix roared. "How can this be? We destroyed every human settlement, every colony, and yet, our entire reconnaissance fleet is gone." Back on Earth's hidden command center, Admiral Kale stood over the holographic star map, calm and deliberate. "They thought we were extinct," he said, voice steady, eyes burning with conviction. "They thought the galaxy had seen the last of us. They were wrong. And now we strike." This was no rash revenge. Every maneuver had been calculated over decades. Human intelligence had not only survived, it had evolved, combining creativity with ruthless efficiency. Their ships were not just armed, they were alive, adaptive, and cunning, able to anticipate attacks before they happened. Humans had learned from the galaxy and then surpassed it. When the first battle erupted near the Epsilon Gate, the galaxy saw something it had never expected. A handful of human vessels, vastly outnumbered, cutting through Kareth fleets with surgical precision. Energy beams danced across the void, shields flared like suns, and every move seemed impossible. To the aliens, it was like watching ants command a hurricane. In the chaos, Lieutenant Mira spoke over the comms, her voice calm yet fierce. "Adjust Vector 92. Target their flagship engines. Precision, people. Remember, humans adapt, humans survive." The flagship exploded in a blinding flash, and the Kareth, for the first time, realized their mistake. But it was more than a battle. It was a message, a warning. Humanity had returned, not as prey but as apex predators of the stars. Meanwhile, whispers spread through the Xyrian Empire. Observers who had laughed at Earth's destruction now watched with unease. Reports arrived, detailing human tactics, their resilience, and most shocking of all, their intelligence. Entire fleets had been annihilated without humans suffering significant loss. "How?" asked Chancellor Ural, pale even beneath his armor. "We erased them, how can they exist?" And deep in a hidden chamber on Earth, Admiral Kale smiled. "They forgot one thing," he muttered. "You can erase a species from history, but you can never erase the will to survive. We are human. And we are coming for the galaxy." The stars held their breath. For the first time in millennia, a new force, unpredictable, intelligent, and unstoppable, was stirring in the galaxy. And it had a name that would echo through every empire, every war room, every council chamber: humanity. The awakening had begun. The galaxy had grown arrogant. Empires had assumed their dominance was eternal. They measured power in fleets, in numbers, in centuries of conquest. And now they were learning that the measure of a civilization was not in what it had, but in what it could do when pushed to the edge. In the dark expanse near the Epsilon Gate, the Kareth Dominion's remnants scrambled. Reports came in, fragmented and terrified. Entire squadrons had vanished as if swallowed by the void. Commanders muttered curses, unable to comprehend the precision with which human ships struck. The aliens' technology was vast, their fleets enormous, but their tactics were rigid, predictable, and slow. Humans, by contrast, adapted instantly, exploiting every weakness. Admiral Kale watched the holographic display of enemy movements, each vessel highlighted in blue and red. "They think they can trap us," he said, voice low yet commanding. "They think fear will slow us. It won't. Humans do not cower. Humans do not hesitate. Prepare for the first strike into their home systems." Aboard the flagship Aegis of Terra, Captain Lyra checked the energy calibrations. Every weapon, every shield, every engine pulse had been optimized for this moment. "All systems green," she reported. "Targeting vectors locked. Ready on your command, Admiral." Kale's eyes swept across the bridge, scanning every face. "Remember," he said, voice steady but cold, "we are not just fighting ships. We are sending a message. The galaxy erased us once. We return to remind them what happens when they make that mistake again." The strike was surgical. Human fleets moved like shadows through asteroid fields, nebulae, and wormholes, appearing where the Kareth least expected. First came the supply stations, massive orbital depots that fueled entire fleets. Explosions tore through the station's cores, leaving rings of molten debris that hung in orbit like fiery scars. Next, communication relays went silent. Entire star systems blinked out of the Kareth network. Panic spread faster than fire through dry grass. Commanders argued, accusations flying, while Admiral Kale's human fleet appeared unscathed, executing maneuvers the aliens could not predict. On Kareth Prime, General Varix slammed his clawed fist against the council table. "This cannot be. We destroyed them. We burned their colonies. And yet, our fleets vanish. They are ghosts, impossible to target, impossible to stop." A young Kareth strategist, trembling under his general's fury, muttered, "Perhaps they are more than primitive. Perhaps we underestimated them." "Underestimated?" Varix roared. "I will show them our wrath. Send every available cruiser. Crush them where they hide." In orbit around Theta 7, humans anticipated the attack. Drones scouted the incoming fleet, transmitting precise data to the human command network. Admiral Kale made his move: divide and flank. Draw them into the ion storm. Let the nebula do the work. The Kareth fleet entered the storm, their sensors scrambled, shields faltering. Human ships struck like lightning. Energy beams tore through hulls. Gravity mines detonated, pulling cruisers into the storm's deadly currents. The Kareth fleet scattered, suffering losses that would have stunned even the bravest commanders. And yet, humanity's casualties were minimal, carefully calculated, surgical, efficient. Aboard the flagship, Captain Lyra exhaled sharply. "We've crippled their fleet. Only a handful of cruisers remain intact." Kale nodded, his eyes cold. "Good. Now we show them the next lesson. Humans do not strike blindly. Humans plan. Humans endure. Send the coordinates to every Kareth-controlled system. Let them feel the inevitability of our return." As messages spread through the galaxy, rumors began to circulate in alien councils. Entire empires whispered of humans who could survive annihilation, adapt instantly, and turn every disadvantage into a weapon. The Zyrian Empire, which had once laughed at Earth, now sat uneasy in its golden halls. High Chancellor Ural's advisors pleaded for caution. "Chancellor, this is unprecedented. They are evolving. They are not just fighting, they are predicting, outmaneuvering. We must reconsider our policies." Ural's metallic voice resonated with unease. "We erased them once, yet they returned stronger than ever. Perhaps we have underestimated the potential of primitive life." Back on Earth's hidden colonies, Admiral Kale addressed his fleet. The galaxy believed humans were extinct. They believed that erasing our history meant erasing our future. They were wrong. Humanity adapts. Humanity survives. humanity conquers. And today we take the first step toward reminding the galaxy that we are unstoppable. Below, young cadets watch the battles unfold via holographic feeds, eyes wide with awe and determination. In them, the spark of humanity burned brighter than any star. A fierce will to survive, a cunning mind, and a hunger for recognition that the galaxy had tried to deny. As the Carith fled to regroup, the human fleet vanished into hyperspace, leaving devastation behind but no trace of its presence. Alien historians would later call this day the Phantom Strike, a warning etched into every corner of the galaxy. Humanity had returned not as prey but as apex predators of the stars. Yet even as victory was celebrated, Kale knew the war was just beginning. The galaxy was vast, empires were countless, and every corner held dangers yet unseen. But humans had a secret no alien could predict. The human mind was boundless. Adaptability, cunning, resilience, these were weapons far greater than fleets or shields. And humanity had them all. In the silence after the battle, Kale stared out into the stars, whispering to himself, "We were erased." They thought that was the end. But they forgot, you cannot erase humanity. The stars, for the first time in millennia, seemed to tremble. The galaxy was not ready for humans. News of the Phantom Strike spread like wildfire through every council chamber, every war room, and every hidden research station. The Carith Dominion, humiliated and bleeding, called urgent summits with their allies. The Zyrian Empire, long the unquestioned hegemon of the sector, found its diplomats scrambling, unable to measure the threat. Even the neutral systems, planets that had prided themselves on observation rather than conflict, began sending emissaries to prepare for a force that had already shattered expectations. In the crystal halls of Zyrian Prime, High Chancellor Ural paced, the golden light of the council chamber reflecting in his cold, metallic eyes. "We have made a grave error," he said. "Primitive life has survived. They have not only survived, they have learned. They adapt faster than any known species. Faster than we predicted. Faster than we can comprehend." An advisor, trembling under the weight of panic, asked, "Chancellor, should we strike first? Launch a preemptive attack against Earth's remaining colonies?" Ural's gaze hardened. "Strike? No. We underestimated them once. We will not make that mistake again. We observe. We learn. And we wait." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, humans continued their silent rise. On a hidden moon orbiting a dying star, Admiral Kale convened the Council of Terra. Leaders from the surviving human colonies gathered, their faces lined with years of preparation and resolve. "We have shown the galaxy that humans are not extinct," Kale began, his voice steady. "We have shown them what they thought impossible. But the war is only beginning. Now we must move beyond tactics. We must strike at the very heart of galactic politics. Divide their alliances. Make the galaxy fear humanity not just as soldiers, but as masters of strategy." Commander Mira, eyes bright with focus, spoke next. "We have spies embedded across Carith and Zyrian networks. We know their council structures, their chain of command. We can manipulate them, turn their alliances against each other. Humans do not only fight with weapons, we fight with intelligence, deception, and foresight." The plan was daring. Human operatives infiltrated communications arrays, planted falsified intelligence, and sowed seeds of mistrust among alien factions. Entire fleets turned on one another after receiving false reports, each believing the other had secretly allied with humans. Alien empires, proud and rigid, found themselves paralyzed by paranoia. In one incident near the Varian Belt, two massive fleets collided, annihilating one another while humans watched from hidden wormholes. The Carith blamed the Zyrian blamed the Carith, and humanity remained unseen, silent, and calculating. Kale's voice resonated across the council chamber, filled with both caution and exhilaration. "Observe how fragile arrogance is. Entire empires crumble when pride blinds them. We do not need to fight every battle. Sometimes the galaxy destroys itself, and humans only guide the outcome. While humans engineered chaos, they also strengthened their own power. On Earth and in secret colonies across the stars, new fleets were constructed, combining alien technology scavenged from past encounters with human innovations. Ships adapted in real time, learning enemy tactics, evolving faster than any simulator could predict. Diplomats and spies became as important as soldiers. Lieutenant Dara, leading a mission on Zyrian Prime, infiltrated the Emperor's palace disguised as a minor administrator. With precise calculation, she delivered intelligence that made the Zyrian Council question every loyalty within their ranks. By the time the truth of her mission was discovered, the seeds of doubt had already spread. Even the galaxy's neutral factions began to shift their positions. Systems that had once avoided involvement saw opportunity in the humans' return. Some offered covert alliances, others provided resources in secret, recognizing the rising force that could not be ignored. Humanity's network grew exponentially, quiet, invisible yet unstoppable. Yet, amid the strategy and manipulation, the human leaders remained vigilant. Kale addressed his council privately one evening, staring out at the distant stars through reinforced glass. The galaxy thinks of us as small, fragile, irrelevant. But we have one advantage they cannot comprehend. We are human. We adapt. We endure. We innovate. And unlike them, we are not bound by arrogance. Every empire that rises falls because it underestimates what it cannot see. We are that unseen force now. In response, Mira added, every fleet destroyed, every alliance shattered, every council in chaos. It all leads to one goal. Humans must not merely survive. We must define the galaxy's future. And when they remember us, they will remember not fear, they will remember respect. The kind that lasts for millennia. As the humans strengthened, the aliens panicked. The Kareth sent envoys demanding parley, the Zyrian deployed fleets to secure their holdings, and the once neutral systems braced for the storm. Every empire, every general, every council knew that the era of humans had begun. And none were ready. On the outer rim, Kale convened the final briefing before the next offensive. Maps flickered with countless systems, every point a potential target, every line a calculated move in the humans' grand strategy. We move with precision, he said. We strike with inevitability. And when the galaxy looks back, they will see one truth. Humans were never meant to be erased. We were meant to rise. As the briefing ended, the Council of Terra stood united, gazing into the dark expanse. They were few, their enemies many, but every mind was sharp, every heart determined. Humanity had been written out of history. The galaxy believed them extinct. But now, with cunning, resilience, and a will unmatched in the cosmos, humans were no longer hidden. They were inevitable. And the galaxy, for the first time in millennia, trembled. The galaxy was no longer the same. Where once arrogance ruled, now fear whispered through every empire. The humans had not only survived, they had rewritten the rules of engagement. Entire fleets had vanished, councils had been deceived, alliances fractured. And yet, humanity's leaders knew this was only the beginning. The next step would test not only their tactical brilliance but their endurance, courage, and resolve. In the shadow of a dying star in the Draxian sector, the human fleet gathered. Ships of all sizes, from sleek strike vessels to massive war carriers, moved in perfect synchrony, their engines humming like a chorus of machines alive with purpose. Every captain, every crew knew their roles in the coming operation. Admiral Kale addressed the fleet from the command bridge of Aegis of Terra, his voice calm yet commanding. We strike at the heart of the Kareth Dominion tonight, he said. They believe they can hide behind numbers and arrogance. They believe humans are extinct. They are wrong. Remember, humans adapt. Humans endure. And humans conquer. Execute with precision, and leave nothing but certainty in our wake. The strike was immediate and brutal. Hidden in the gravitational shadow of the dying star, human ships launched forward with blinding speed. Cloaked vessels emerged like phantoms, targeting command ships and supply carriers first. Within moments, explosions illuminated the void, transforming the darkness into a tempest of fire and metal. On Kareth Prime, General Varix roared in fury as reports of devastation reached him. They strike where we are weakest, he bellowed. Our fleets, our systems, everything is falling apart. A young Kareth admiral dared to speak, trembling before his superior. General, they move like they know us better than we know ourselves. Every fleet, every maneuver, predicted. Varix's eyes burned with rage. Then we will crush them. Deploy the shadow squadrons. Crush these humans before they grow any stronger. But humans had anticipated this. Using their mastery of stealth, subspace anomalies, and adaptive weapon systems, they turned the Karetha's own tactics against them. Mines detonated in precise patterns, splitting enemy formations. Energy pulses disrupted communications mid-battle. Human ships executed maneuvers so unpredictable that entire fleets collided with one another in confusion. Lieutenant Mira, commanding a strike division, spoke over comms with calm precision. Adjust Vector 71. Focus on the forward command cluster. Do not engage unless necessary, neutralize their fleet, not waste firepower. Humans calculate, humans endure. By the time the first phase of the battle ended, The Kareth fleet had been shattered, their command structures in ruins. Planets once thought secure now trembled as human forces moved in, seizing control with surgical efficiency. The galaxy watched in disbelief. How could a species once considered primitive dismantle fleets, command structures and entire planets with such ease? Even the Zyrian Empire, observing from afar, could not remain idle. High Chancellor Ural summoned his generals, fear etched into every metallic line of his face. Humans are not merely survivors, he said. They are architects of chaos. They are unstoppable in their precision and ruthless in execution. Every step we take, they have already predicted. Zyrian fleets were dispatched to intervene, converging on the Draxian sector. But humans had anticipated this as well. Using wormhole networks, subspace tunnels and feints, they lured Zyrian forces into ambushes that decimated their armadas. Entire squadrons vanished within moments, leaving no trace but floating wreckage. Amid the chaos, a human diplomat, Ambassador Rena, broadcast a message across the galaxy. We were written out of history. You thought we were gone. But humans endure. We are no longer hidden. We are not to be underestimated. Join us or step aside. Some empires, seeing the futility of resistance, began to reconsider their alliances. Systems once loyal to the Kareth or Zyrian quietly defected, offering resources, intelligence and ships to the humans. Slowly, a new coalition of humanity-aligned systems began to emerge. Silent, invisible but growing stronger with every passing day. Yet the war was far from over. Kale knew that defeating fleets and seizing systems was only part of the equation. Humanity had to secure its position strategically, politically, and psychologically. Every move was calculated, every battle staged not only for victory but for the lesson it sent to the galaxy. Humanity would not be ignored, erased, or controlled. In a quiet moment aboard Aegis of Terra, Kale turned to Mira. They called us primitive. They called us extinct. And yet here we stand, shaping the future of the galaxy. Remember this, Mira, every empire they built, every fleet, every council, will tremble when humans move. We are not just survivors. We are the architects of a new order. Mira nodded, eyes reflecting the swirling cosmos outside. And they will learn, too late, that humans do not just fight. We endure. We adapt. We conquer. As the stars blazed with the aftermath of the battle, human forces vanished once more into the void, leaving the galaxy to whisper in awe and fear. The War of Shadows had begun, not a war for survival but a war for supremacy. And humanity, forged in the fires of near extinction, had already proven it would rise above all. The galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy trembled not just from the force of human weapons, but from the intelligence that wielded them. Following the War of Shadows, humanity had proven it could not only survive annihilation but also dominate superior forces with cunning and adaptability. The Kareth Dominion lay fractured, their fleets shattered, their colonies exposed. The Zyrian Empire, long the galaxy's dominant power, now faced a threat it had once dismissed as insignificant. On Terra's hidden command station orbiting a dense nebula, Admiral Kale convened the Grand Council of Humanity. Leaders from Earth and every surviving human colony gathered, their faces resolute under the dim glow of star charts and holographic displays. We have broken their fleets, disrupted their councils, and demonstrated that humans are more than a force of survival, Kale began, his voice carrying a rare mixture of gravity and inspiration. Now we take the next step. We will not merely fight, we will lead. Every alien empire that dares to resist will face consequences. Every world that chooses alliance will find protection and opportunity. Humanity will define the new order of the galaxy. Commander Mira stepped forward, her fingers tracing the holographic positions of key systems. The Kareth are in disarray. Their colonies are defenseless. The Zyrian hesitate, unsure of how to act. Meanwhile, neutral factions are reconsidering alliances. We can extend our influence, not with mere force but with intelligence, strategy, and diplomacy. Every system we touch will know that humans are not to be underestimated. The first phase of this plan was a combination of soft power and hard precision. While human strike fleets dismantled the remaining Kareth outposts, diplomatic envoys reached out to independent systems, offering protection, trade, and knowledge in exchange for allegiance. The galaxy, long dominated by fear and hierarchy, now saw humans as both protectors and innovators. In the orbit of the resource-rich world of Varades IV, Ambassador Rena addressed the Planetary Council of the Lyrians, a neutral species with vast influence over trade routes. Her message was clear: We offer partnership, not subjugation. Humanity has survived when the galaxy believed us extinct. We will protect those who respect intelligence and courage. Join us and together we will thrive. Refuse and you risk isolation when others align with strength. The council deliberated, their advisors whispering about humanity's sudden rise, the cunning intelligence of Kale, and the precision of human fleets. The decision was unanimous. Lyrians pledged loyalty to humanity, offering resources, ships, and strategic positions in exchange for protection. It was the first major political victory, and the ripple effect was immediate. Across the galaxy, smaller systems began to defect, their leaders choosing pragmatism over pride. The Kareth Dominion struggled to maintain authority as internal dissent grew, while the Zyrian Empire faced an uncomfortable reality. The humans they had dismissed were now shaping alliances without firing a single broadside at them. Yet humanity's rise was not without challenge. Rogue warlords and mercenary fleets attempted to exploit the chaos, seeking to profit from the fractured galaxy. Human strike forces moved swiftly, neutralizing threats with surgical efficiency. Every encounter showcased human adaptability, ships that repaired themselves mid-battle, weapons that adjusted energy output based on enemy shielding, and tactics that anticipated even the most cunning adversaries. On the diplomatic front, Kale and his team leveraged alien rivalry to their advantage. By leaking falsified intelligence, they sparked conflict between the Kareth and Zyrian, ensuring that each spent more resources countering the other than plotting against humanity. Divide, weaken, and conquer, Kale explained during a council session. The galaxy fights itself while we prepare. Patience and strategy are our greatest weapons. Meanwhile, human technology had begun to surpass even the most advanced alien designs. Adaptive shields, quantum computing systems, and ships capable of near-instantaneous maneuvers turned every engagement into a demonstration of apex-level ingenuity. Aliens could no longer predict human behavior. Every move was unique, every strategy dynamic. Humanity was not merely fighting, they were rewriting the rules of warfare itself. In a quiet moment aboard the flagship Aegis of Terra, Kale addressed his inner circle. We were erased from history. They thought that would end us. But we endured. We adapted. We grew stronger. And now the galaxy must recognize one immutable truth. Humans are not just survivors, they are apex predators, thinkers, and leaders. Every system, every empire, every council, will feel our presence. Mira nodded, eyes reflecting the nebula outside. And when they do, it will be too late. They underestimated humanity once. They will not underestimate us again. By the end of the campaign, humans had secured a network of alliances, control over critical systems, and an elite fleet unmatched in precision and power. The galaxy had witnessed humanity's rise. A species once written off as primitive, now the axis around which the balance of power spun. The stars themselves seemed to bend to humanity's will. Planets, fleets, and councils. Everything was being reshaped not just by firepower but by intellect, adaptability, and relentless will. And as Admiral Kale gazed out at the cosmos, he knew that the next challenge would be greater still, uniting the galaxy under humanity's influence and facing the last, most cunning threats who refused to bow. The war was far from over, but humanity had already proven one thing: they were not to be erased, dismissed, or defeated. The rise of humanity had begun, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The galaxy held its breath. Empires that had once mocked humanity now shivered at their mere presence. The Kareth Dominion was fractured, the Zyrian Empire cautious, and countless systems looked to humanity not only for protection but for leadership. Yet the final challenge loomed. The remaining powers of the galaxy had begun to unite against the rising human tide. They saw the threat not just as a military force, but as a civilization capable of outthinking, outmaneuvering, and outlasting every opponent. Admiral Kale stood aboard the Aegis of Terra, his fleet orbiting the neutral star system of Mirian, a strategic crossroads coveted by nearly every major empire. The council had convened in secret, a gathering of humanity's best minds, tacticians, engineers, diplomats, and spies. Every system, every ship, every possible outcome had been calculated and reconsidered. This is not merely a battle for territory, Kale said, voice calm but resolute. It is a demonstration. The galaxy will see the full measure of human capability. They will understand that humans do not merely survive, we dominate through intelligence, adaptability, and willpower. Today we show them the apex of humanity. Commander Mira, scanning fleet telemetry, interjected. All enemy fleets are moving toward the Mirian cluster. They believe their numbers give them advantage. But we have anticipated every route, every formation, every contingency. We strike where they expect least. The plan was audacious. Using advanced subspace manipulation, humans divided the approaching fleets into separate corridors, isolating them from each other. Wormholes had been seeded with stealth drones and gravitic traps. The first wave, a Kareth armada of over 500 ships, entered the corridor only to find themselves ambushed. Energy beams lanced through the void with surgical precision, decimating the leading vessels. Panic spread instantly through the alien ranks. Meanwhile, Zyrian fleets attempted to flank human positions, hoping to rescue their allies. But the humans had predicted this. Quantum decoys and adaptive sensor jamming misled the Zyrian, causing collisions and misfires that reduced their forces before they even reached the front line. Every engagement was a masterclass in strategy, precision, and adaptability. Humanity had become more than a species, they had become a force of nature. From the bridge of the Aegis of Terra, Kale observed the chaos. They think fleets define power, he muttered. But power is not in numbers, it is in mind, foresight, and the courage to act when all others hesitate. Lieutenant Dara, piloting a stealth strike vessel, reported in. Enemy command ship neutralized. Subspace disruption completed. Communications across both fleets are down. They are blind, disorganized, and panicking. Kale's eyes narrowed. Excellent. Now the final phase. Deploy the Terra Protocol. The Terra Protocol was humanity's ultimate weapon. Not a single bomb, not a superweapon, but a combination of engineering, intelligence, and cunning that allowed humans to take control of entire fleets remotely. By overriding enemy ship systems with quantum hacking pulses, human forces effectively turned the enemy's greatest strength against them. Ships fired on each other, formations collapsed, and entire armadas were neutralized without a single human casualty. On Kareth Prime, General Varix could hardly believe his eyes. Impossible. They control our ships, from nowhere. Every fleet, every command, under their control. Across the Zyrian Empire, High Chancellor Ural's council chambers were in chaos. Advisors shouted, diplomats argued, fleets vanished in an instant. We erased them once, Ural hissed, and yet, they control everything. Every system. Every fleet. How can this be? Back aboard Aegis of Terra, Kale addressed his fleet. Victory is not simply destruction. It is control. It is inevitability. Today the galaxy learns a lesson that cannot be unlearned. Humans are apex in every sense. Every empire that underestimated us will feel the weight of that lesson forever. Even as the battle raged, humanity extended its reach through diplomacy. Independent systems that had watched the conflict unfold quietly approached human leadership, offering allegiance in exchange for security, trade, and knowledge. By the end of the engagement, humanity controlled key strategic sectors, entire fleets of once hostile species, and a network of alliances unparalleled in galactic history. In a rare moment of reflection, Kale stood before the main observation deck, staring into the stars. We were erased, he whispered. The galaxy thought that was the end of humanity. But we survived. We adapted. We rose. And now, we are the measure by which all others will be judged. Mira stood beside him. The galaxy will remember Admiral. Not as a species that was once weak, but as the species that rewrote the rules. Humans do not just endure. Humans conquer, lead, and endure forever. As the fleets of humans withdrew from Mirian, leaving shattered enemies, repaired planets, and grateful allies, the message was clear. Humanity had not only survived their erasure, they had ascended to the pinnacle of the galaxy. Every corner of space, every system, every council chamber would now count humans as a force that could not be ignored. The apex confrontation had ended. Humanity stood unchallenged, not merely in power but in intellect, strategy, and vision. The galaxy would never again dismiss the small, underestimated species from a blue planet called Earth. And somewhere, deep in the void, a single thought resonated across every empire. Humanity had returned stronger than ever. The galaxy had changed forever. Where once arrogance, fear, and rigid hierarchies ruled, now intellect, resilience, and strategy defined power. The humans had risen, not merely from survival but from near extinction, erasure, and contempt. Every empire that had once laughed at their fragility now bowed, in fear, in awe, or in reluctant respect. Admiral Kale stood aboard the Aegis of Terra, gazing into the endless expanse of stars. Each light represented a world, some allied, some conquered, some liberated from the chaos humans had sown and mastered. Humanity's fleet had grown to unprecedented scale, a blend of alien and human technology, adaptive and unstoppable. Ships moved like living beings, anticipating threats, coordinating with perfect synchronization. Today, Kale said to his council, we do not simply strike. We shape the galaxy. Every world, every system, every empire will recognize one truth: humans endure. Humans adapt. Humans lead. Humans define the future. Commander Mira, standing beside him, studied the holographic map of the galaxy. Systems loyal to humans glowed with blue light, rival territories flickered in red, and neutral zones hovered in uncertainty. Every alliance we've forged, every fleet we've deployed, every battle we've fought, it all leads here. The galaxy is ours to guide. And they will respect our strength. Even the Zyrian Empire, once the undisputed hegemon, now sent emissaries personally to negotiate with humans. High Chancellor Ural, frail and solemn, addressed Kale aboard a neutral station. Admiral, we misjudged your species. We erased you from history. And yet, you are here stronger than all of us combined. We acknowledge humanity's supremacy and seek your guidance rather than your destruction. Kale listened, his eyes unwavering. Supremacy is not about domination alone. It is about responsibility. Empires fall when they grow arrogant. Humans endured because we adapted, because we learned, because we refused to be written out of history. You now have a choice. Join us in shaping a galaxy that values intelligence, resilience, and fairness, or be left behind. Across the stars, other species, once skeptical, now terrified, began to pledge allegiance, sending fleets, resources, and knowledge to human command. Even scattered Kareth remnants were absorbed into the human-led coalition, offered a choice: continue fighting and face obliteration or serve under a new order. Most chose the latter, recognizing the futility of resistance. But humanity's triumph was not built on fear alone. Kale knew that true supremacy required vision, not tyranny. Humanity established councils across liberated and allied systems, blending human leadership with local governance. Every alliance, every treaty, emphasized cooperation, innovation, and mutual protection. Planets once ignored or oppressed now flourished under the guidance of humans, who combined advanced technology with adaptable governance. In orbit around a reconstructed world, Ambassador Rena addressed an assembly of alien delegates. We were once erased, dismissed, and underestimated. Today we demonstrate that survival alone is not enough. We rise, we lead, and we endure. Our methods are precise, our minds adaptive, and our will unbreakable. The galaxy will remember humanity, not as a species once small and fragile, but as the architects of a new order. Meanwhile, humans continue to explore the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Hidden wormholes, lost colonies, and distant nebulae were charted and brought into the human sphere. Advanced research hubs pushed the boundaries of science and technology, merging human ingenuity with alien innovation. The human species, once confined to a blue planet, now extended its reach across hundreds of star systems. Even in quiet moments, Kale reflected on the journey. From the ashes of Earth's near erasure, humans had rebuilt, adapted, and risen to the apex of the galaxy. Their intelligence, resilience, and ingenuity had turned near extinction into dominance. No empire, no fleet, no council could ever again underestimate humanity. In a private conversation with Mira, Kale allowed a rare smile. They thought we were gone. They thought we were weak. And now, we are stronger than they ever imagined. Myra's eyes shone with the reflection of distant stars. We are human, Admiral. And no one can erase what we are. Not history, not fleets, not empires. We endure. We rise. We lead. The final act of humanity's rise was not conquest alone. It was a demonstration of apex capability, wisdom, and leadership. The galaxy, once cruel and dismissive, now turned toward a new era. One led by humans, defined by adaptability, intelligence, and unmatched resilience. From the shattered fleets of the Kareth to the humbled councils of the Zyrian, every corner of space understood a singular, undeniable truth. Humanity had been erased once. Humanity returned stronger. Humanity endured. Humanity conquered. Humanity ascended. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging a new order in the galaxy. And in the endless void, where once humans were whispered about as a primitive species, now every star system knew their name. The galaxy belonged to humanity. The era of humans had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again.